Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CM Club podcast. Today we have a very special guest along with a host of other students. Today we have Aaron Witt of Buildwitt. Aaron, you want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. I don't know about special, but I'm a guest. I guess I qualify as a guest. I run a company called Buildwitt. Historically, we've been doing marketing services for construction, mining, demolition, heavy equipment related companies across the United States. We call it all the dirt world. Been doing it for about 3.5 years. We are transitioning right now into software and training development. So we're going beyond marketing. We're still doing marketing for our partners, about 20, 25 companies across the United States, but we're trying to reach a broader audience and do something about the whole workforce problem the industry is facing. So that's the next frontier for us. And we're about to ramp up over the next few months and probably double the size of the company here in the next few months. And it's about to get pretty wacky.
Yeah. Sounds exciting. Sounds like it's going to get, you're like on the cusp of something like huge. And that's gotta be a really good feeling.
It'll be a better feeling when we actually do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting.
Oh, that's awesome.
How many employees do you have right now? Is it around like 50 or so, or?
We're at around 40 full-time, probably another 20 to 30 part-time helping us out.
Wow.
So over the next few months, we're going to go hire another 20 to 30 and it's going to start to really grow from there.
Nice.
Now, when you say we're going to go and hire, how exactly do you go about like finding people, or do the people find you?
Well, the nice thing is we have a pretty substantial brand and network. So a lot of people know of us. And when we go to hire, it's not all that complicated once you have a brand and people know of you. We also invest a lot in talent acquisition in our recruiting process. We're trying to revise all of that as we speak. We have a full-time recruiter focused on our business because human capital is all we really have. So that expense on someone focused entirely on talent acquisition for our company is pretty affordable and almost it's not really even an option at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned. So the combination between our social media reach, our brand, the opportunity we have, we're a good place to work, or at least I like to think we are. We pay people well, have good benefits, have a mission we believe in. There's a lot of good things about working for the business. Then we have full-time recruiter. It makes it so we don't struggle all that much with hiring, at least finding people. We have struggled in the past with finding and recruiting the right people, which is why we're investing in our actual process right now as well.
Yeah, that's interesting and good to hear. We all have co-ops lined up for the spring. We do trimesters, so we're pretty I guess we would say familiar, pretty experienced with the whole hiring process. And I don't know about you guys, but one thing I've noticed is a lot of companies tend to do it a lot of different ways. So I just think it's interesting that you're really trying to hone that focus and kind of expand your own business internally and look into that a lot further than I think most people do.
It's easy for us to really grasp the whole concept that human capital is really all we have, because it's literally all we have. We don't have equipment. We don't have materials. We don't have big yards or plants or anything like that. We just have people. So it makes the decision to invest that much easier. That said, even contractors today, sure, they have equipment, materials, plants, whatever they have, but humans are their competitive advantage, and they're going to have to follow suit pretty soon. Most companies, it's like recruiting is their number one problem, and yet they have no one in their business even focused on people. Like even just HR is a haphazard endeavor, and they could have hundreds of people working for them. And it's a crazy thought, because I mean, I couldn't imagine not having someone focused on people within our business full time. I think it's just an essential part of doing business nowadays.
I think that's definitely, sorry, man, I think that's definitely the way to go. The company I ended up going with was very focused on like making sure everybody there was having like the best experience they could while working. So
yeah, I mean, you guys have a lot of options. So you're evaluating them like they're evaluating you. It's a two-way street. And if you don't feel warm and fuzzy about the company interviewing you, then I can just go wherever I want. And these construction companies, they're still bought into the whole concept of, yeah, we can just hire whoever the hell we please. And it's like,
Yep.
not
Yep.
anymore. Not
Right.
anymore.
We actually have a career fair tonight, where there's 26, I think, employers lined up, and they all paid like tons of money to have tables. There's an entrance fee and everything, and they're just basically all, I don't want to say begging, but pretty much begging to hire people.
Yeah. It's like the problem. It's only getting worse. We're only seeing the beginning of it. It's a good time for you guys because, like I said, you can go wherever you want and the people have the power. Wages are increasing dramatically. So it's a damn good time to get into the industry.
Do you think that this is like a bubble that will ever get popped eventually in, say, 10 years when we're all in our 30s, that all the open positions will be filled and there will be no real big push or need to hire people like there is right now?
So you have to look at like what is the industry, and are people being eliminated from the industry? Is there less of a demand for industry? Is it potentially being outsourced to China, or are we going to need less infrastructure? And the answer is no. We're always going to need infrastructure. You can't outsource it. You can't really automate a lot of the tasks out there. Sure, you can utilize technology like grade control to simplify things a little bit, and so now you don't need someone out there pounding hubs and blue topping, even though that still happens a lot. You still have an operator in the seat that needs to know what the hell is going on. So I think that's one side of it. I don't think the need for people in this industry is going away anytime soon. And that's what's so exciting about people like our age is we're getting into a field, and it's the trades. So the trades, it's craftsmanship. It's very hard for a computer to do that. Computers can do repetitive tasks and can learn, but even programming, that's up for potential automation down the road, but the trades just aren't. So we're always going to need people. And so you have that, the desire for infrastructure, perpetual need for people. And then you have a generation that's aging out. Look at the demographic of any construction site. Are there more older people there or younger people? Odds are there's more older people than younger people. So we haven't even seen those people. I mean, they're starting to retire, but that retirement cycle hasn't really happened yet. So I don't think this is going away anytime soon. I think it's going to be here for a long, long time. And then the irony of a downturn, you'd think a downturn would alleviate the problem because it would reduce demand from like a residential side of things, a commercial side of things. But what happens in a recession or any kind of economic decline is there's more spending on infrastructure. And so there's going to be increased spending on infrastructure in a period of economic decline. And then not only that, but there's a lot of contractors that are fat, dumb, and happy right now. And so the less disciplined contractors are going to go lay people off. Those people are going to leave the construction industry like they did in 2008. And that's going to create an even tighter squeeze. So it's in my opinion, this is not going away anytime soon.
No, that kind of, leads into something that we want to talk about. Like all these, older people are in the industry and, have been in, like have the institutional knowledge, been there forever. But I find that's kind of harder to find younger people working the trades, like being able to fill those voids that are going to be coming up. Like what's going to happen if we can't?
Well, we can't. It's not an option because
Right.
Can you tell people, hey, sorry, we can't get gas to your house, so you're not going to have heat this winter? Or, hey, do you mind just not showering because we just don't have the people to fix this water main? And I don't know. Or, hey, you can't drive your kids to school. Like that's not a possibility. That's not an option. So
Right.
We can't is not an option. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to have this next generation of companies that's going to figure. I think this presents the biggest opportunity for contractors and young contractors that has ever been there. And this is going to dramatically even the playing field. So right now you have these old school incumbents that are massive. I mean, billion-dollar replacement costs for their fleet and plants and vertically integrated and been around for 100-something years, so on and so forth. So if I wanted to go kick one of these guys out of the industry, like good luck. Like I don't have the capital to do that. Are you crazy? But if I can, as a young business owner, figure out how to train people effectively, how to treat people, how to inspire young people, how to create a mission that people believe in, how to not work people to death, maybe create a model where we only have to work 40 rather than 60 or 70 hours a week, question everything, implement technology from the beginning, I'm not going to have the labor problem that old school contractor is going to have. So regardless of how long their history is, how much capital they have, how many plants they have, trucks they have, if they can't find people to fill those seats, it's all worthless. And so if I can figure that out before someone else can, I'm going to be able to absorb that market share from the companies that can't figure it out. And that's what's going to start to happen more and more and more. So I don't think I think some companies are not going to be able to figure it out. I think some companies, big companies that have been around a long time, are going to go away in the next 10 to 20 years. I think there's going to be a next generation of younger contractors that are going to grow faster than ever before over the next 10 to 20 years. And then I think there'll be that middle ground of older school contractors that are being taken over by younger people or the next generation or whatever it is, that see these younger guys accelerating their growth and said, I want in on that too. And then they're able to transition their old school business to this new way of doing business. So I think there's 3 groups there, but saying we can't figure it out, it's not an option.
I was just going to say that same thing. And I think you're right. I think that over the next 10, 20 years, there's probably going to be a select group of companies that end up going out of business, not because they don't have the equipment, not because they don't have the expertise, but because they haven't been able to or won't be able to figure out how to really leverage that next generation to level up their business.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Like if you can't figure out workforce, you're done. You're done. And there's a lot of companies that are playing victim right now. They're saying, oh, everybody's going to college, or these kids don't want to work, or, oh man, you can run down the list, and it's, okay, cool. Those are all very relevant things. Yeah, sure. Everyone's going to college. Yeah, sure. This industry has a poor perception. Yeah, sure. Kids work differently than kids did 50 years ago. Yeah, of course. You work differently than your grandparents did, didn't you? Like this happens every generation. And until we say, hey, this is just reality and we need to work with it rather than complain about it, nothing's going to get done. And like I said, those companies that get it and build their companies from the beginning with all of this in mind, with the technology from day one, with the investing in people from day one, with the best equipment available day one, they're going to have a massive, massive advantage over anybody else.
So on the topic of people and culture, and trying to like retain employees, one of the things that I found really interesting about your business is that you have a unlimited and open PTO policy. And I was listening to an episode yesterday where you also talked about shutting down the entire company for 2 weeks. I think you said during the holidays. Do you have any insight on that? And kind of your rationale between the open PTO policy? And I'm curious how many people actually, I don't want to say take advantage, but do you find that people are only taking like two weeks, 3 weeks, like you normally would get at any other quote unquote regular company?
It honestly isn't all that much more. It's probably around, like maybe 3-4 weeks, and then plus the 2 weeks over Christmas. So I like taking those 2 weeks off because nothing gets done in those 2 weeks. If we were to say we're going to work so hard in those 2 weeks, nothing happens because everybody else is completely checked out, and it's just super frustrating. So instead, it's like, I'd rather give everybody those 2 weeks off, and it's an investment. And I tell them this is a privilege. This isn't just some fun thing we do. It is like a thank you for working hard all year, but it's also, hey, take 2 weeks and do the stuff you've been wanting to do, or read that book, or go have this experience. And we give everybody like a little bit of spending money for that few weeks too. Go do something with your family, develop yourself as an individual, because if people are developing themselves, growing as human beings, they can perform better for the business. And they're just better people overall. We're different. So we're not having to meet these government deadlines of highway jobs or whatever it is. So we do have more flexibility when it comes to time off, but also I think like a flexible PTO policy is almost going to become just the norm. I don't even think it's all that special anymore because people like to control their lives. And if I need 2 days off, why it's never made sense for me why I need to go fill out a paper and request it from my boss to have permission to take 2 days off, to go spend time with my family somewhere. Like, shoot, I'm working hard. I'm getting done what I need to get done. Why do I need to go get someone's permission to go take some time off? It just makes no sense to me. And if I don't like that, I shouldn't be dictating when or if people can take time off. I just don't think it's my responsibility or right as an employer. So it goes to just trusting people. It's when you trust people to do the right thing and give them the ability to do the right thing, they don't screw you. It's amazing. It's amazing. If you're afraid everybody's going to go screw you and you create all these rules, then they're probably going to go screw you. If you actually say, hey, we trust you, we're not screwing you, so don't screw us, they actually don't screw you. It's amazing how that works. So I think the flexible PTO, we're by no means the first people to do it. There's massive companies out there that have a policy like this. It works out very well. And I think it's honestly just going to become the norm. Overall, I was talking to a guy the other day, and they have technicians, and he said he found out that one of the technicians was let go because he had some obligations in the morning. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was with his kids or something like that, and he couldn't come in
until matter, right?
Huh?
It almost doesn't even matter, right? At a certain point, what the obligations were.
Exactly. Yeah, it was something in the morning. So he couldn't come in until 10 in the morning, and they let him go because they start at 7. And he found out about that, and he's like, well, why are we letting him go? It doesn't matter if he's starting at 7 makes no difference to the business overall. If he starts at 10 and works 3 hours later in the afternoon, okay. Like, why are we so why are we so fixated on this just defined, here is what the workday looks like, here's what a week of work looks like? Like, we need to start thinking a little bit differently as an industry and start offering more flexibility, because that's what people need today. I even saw something, it was even like a few decades ago, it was 50% of spouses were working. Now it's past 80% of spouses are working. That's a huge increase. So now most everybody has their spouse also working. And if you have 3 kids and no flexibility at work, shoot, and someone offers you flexibility, you can work at Amazon.com, make the same amount of money, and have flexibility to go pick up your kids. Of course, I'm going to go leave the industry and go work for Amazon. That's a no-brainer. So I think it's, sure, we're doing things that are a little bit more progressive, like 2 weeks off PTO, but this is what the industry's got to go do, I think, within the next few years, is offer just a little bit more flexibility. Because if people don't have that, they're not going to stay here, or they're not even going to come here in the first place.
Do you find that, like, when people have like that option to take time off whenever they need to, they are like more responsible in a way? Because I have relatives who have the same thing, just flexible PTO, and they like feel like they have to get more done, like within like their certain time constraints or whatever, but they're almost take on a little bit more responsibility.
I think so. And I've realized there's a dark side to limited PTO, because a lot of times no one will take time off. If that's the case, they don't feel like they can take time off.
That's what happens with her. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I don't even know how it's enforced right now, frankly, but in theory, and we're getting much better at the HR people stuff, but we require people to take 2 weeks off. And again, I don't know how that's shaken out this year, because we've had so many other fires to worry about, that hopefully this year we'll actually be able to track and make sure that people take time off. And then even if we don't have that, I've been trying to be smart about modeling taking time off from the top and being very vocal about it. So make sure I take time off every quarter, because I don't know. Right now, I can just work 7 days a week. This is all I do. This is my life. I enjoy it. Everybody's like, "Why are you working on Saturday? That sucks." I'm like, no, it doesn't. I want to be here. And, but I've, like, we just are about to do something pretty cool that we've been working on for a very long time. time. It's a big deal for the company. And so in December, I'm gonna go take a week off and go to Hawaii and go see my friend Chemo and go run around some mountains on Maui and talk about that in front of the business and say, hey, I'm going to take a week off. And I might, don't tell anybody this, but I might work a little bit, but I'm not going to be emailing people or messaging on Slack or anything like that. I'm going to try to take that time off and show that, hey, I'm separated from the business. And so it's okay for you to do that too. So I guess it's gone well so far. I don't know. Maybe it's not going well, but I think it's going well.
It's from what you're saying, it seems like you guys are finding that like good balance where you get what you want out of your employees, but you also get your employees to like buy in, and like that. Was there like a learning curve to that, or is it just kind of like how you guys wanted to run the company?
When you start a company, putting together culture is just kind of a weird thing. You just make it up as you go, and it just grows as the company grows. But then as the company gets past a certain point, you have to start teaching about it as well. So like right now, if you guys were to hire on at our company, we would put you through a 2-day onboarding process where we teach you about our values, our mission, how we operate, financial literacy, our benefits, everything like that, so that you come into the business at least having a little bit of that knowledge from the beginning. And then we talk about it publicly. So a lot of times when people are applying to our business, that's the nice thing about social media. They already know about what we believe in. That's why they're applying in the first place. A lot of times is they see that they're like, that sounds pretty cool. I resonate with that. And they already have a taste for our culture because we're so transparent about it online. And do we do a good job at that? We do a lot better at that. And we're trying to do a lot better at that. But I think that's where sharing comes into play. It's very advantageous because people already know what they're getting themselves into from day one. And then that's where onboarding comes into play. It's hugely beneficial to set the stage from day one.
What are your thoughts on, I heard recently, it was 2 countries, I don't remember which ones. There was one in South America where they enacted laws that made it illegal on some kind of level for your boss or people from your company to email you or call you outside of regular work hours. How do you feel about government intervention trying to help create a more better work-life balance with people?
I would be arrested. I would have been arrested this morning because I message people at all hours of the day. And I tell people, it's like, I don't need a response. I just need to get it out of my head.
Okay, that makes sense.
But and sometimes I'll schedule messages too. So it's like, I'll message people all weekend long and I'll schedule it for 8 a.m. on Monday. So I'm not bothering them on a Sunday.
And the whole company is like, man, Aaron's really busy this morning.
Well, that's why I email people on the weekends. So they know I'm working hard, but I don't think government intervention's all that good. I was just reading something last night. It's like companies should somewhat control themselves before the government has to step in. That's the best policy there. And so it's that conscious capitalism type approach, or there's this book that we're really big fans of within our business called Everybody Matters. And it's about just really caring for people. And so I think if we really truly care for people and make sure that they have a life out of work and recognize that that's valuable to us, I don't think we need the government to tell us what we can and can't do or when we can send messages.
That's how I think every company should be run, like, you know, like not to get like too into the capitalism thing, but like that's how like capitalism should be. It's like, you know,
It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it seems like you have figured that out, but like other companies need to come to that realization as well before, you know, like you were saying earlier, you know, established huge companies go under.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have it figured out, but we're doing our best, and it's all you can really do. Just do your best, see how things play out. Hey, that was stupid. And then you go in a different direction, you know, the next week. It's just constant iteration.
Yeah.
On the topic of, I guess switching gears a little bit here, on the topic of travel, of course, for your business, you and pretty much everyone else travels a lot. And that can definitely have pros and cons. But I was curious, just any of your insight on that. And I know a while ago, too, you were talking about potentially purchasing a plane for the company or some kind of leasing opportunity with like net jets or wheels up. Do you have any insight on that? I just found that really interesting.
I want a plane because flying commercial is really stupid. And
For your business, I could imagine.
yeah, dude, it sucks. It sucks so much. And it's just like for our business, we could justify it. It would be hard to pencil it out and make it totally check out from an economic standpoint, but from a ease of, I think it'll almost work out pretty well for our business. Cause I've probably been to between 30 and 40 states this year. I haven't counted, but it's just nonstop. So to be able to get on a plane from Nashville and fly wherever I need to fly, game changer. But that's the thing is, it goes back to our mission. We want to make the dirt world a better place. To make the dirt world a better place, we can't just work with Central Tennessee companies. Okay, cool. Then we're just making Central Tennessee dirt world a better place. But what about the rest of the dirt world? We need to go out and see as much of the dirt world as we can. So that's where the whole working across the United States and sometimes internationally came about. It just was a natural progression of, if we want to go make the whole industry better, we need to go out and see and learn from and represent the entire industry. It's exhausting a lot of times, but I'm told to do it while I'm young, and I'm young. So here I am. It's been awesome though. I've met more people in the past 3 years than most people meet in their entire lives, which is a crazy thought. I've seen more places in the past probably year than most people see in their entire lives, on average. So it's super, super, super rewarding. It's allowed me to expand my worldview like I never thought possible. It's allowed me to be a far better leader. It's allowed me to understand where the industry's at and tailor our business to solving some of those problems. If I was just hanging out in Nashville every week, it would just be me still. We wouldn't have a company. We wouldn't have any of this. It's essential that we get out on the road and see the industry, experience the industry. That's one of our big competitive advantages, is really understanding this world and speaking their language and knowing what they need, and then building businesses to solve some of those problems.
Would you ever consider kind of expanding your operation to go check out sites outside of the United States on a regular basis? And I know senior year, we have a study abroad opportunity that we can do in Ireland with the Waterford Institute of Technology, and Nick and I are both very interested in trying to work something out with that. So I was just curious, it's probably more of a feasibility issue than an interest issue, I would assume, with you.
Yeah, so the market's so big in the United States. I just want to dominate the United States before we get distracted elsewhere. But also there's markets that'll be very enticing for us, like Canada, Australia, Germany, Britain. Any developed nation that has a similar workforce problem that we do is a really, really strong target for what we're working on. And I think we'll be international in the next few years. I mean, we've already done international work. I'm going to the Middle East first of the year, and then again in the spring. So we've already done some work abroad. And I want to do more because it's badass to see how other people build stuff around the world. But at the same time, there's so much going on in the United States that I also just want to stay focused here, get good at what we're doing here before we go expand elsewhere.
How far booked out is your schedule? Sounds like it's booked out probably pretty far.
Like my personal schedule?
Or what, like with work and these trips and everything that you have going on?
I probably, like my schedule, I book out probably like 60 to 90 days in advance. So I'm looking into February right now. But then there's also a lot of flexibility. I mean, everything's moving around all the time. So until it's the week before, I'm not 100% on any given trip. A lot of times just because of construction schedules and weather. Sometimes, hey, I'm supposed to go to Denver and then a snowstorm rolls through the night before. So it's like, okay, I guess I'm not going to Denver anymore. So there's a lot of that, but yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I was just charting out my first 60 days of the new year yesterday, and it'll be an adventure. We're not slowing down anytime soon. That's for sure.
Wow.
So this kind of off topic. What would you say like over the past 3 years? Like, what's the favorite thing? Like your favorite thing you've done? Favorite part of your job?
That's a good one.
I don't know. Favorite thing about my job is it's super, super, super cool to employ people. It's a really, really good feeling. So our company meetings, we have meetings twice a year. We fly everybody into Nashville and get to meet as a business and just have fun with one another. That's coming up here in a few weeks. It'll be the first week of December. Those are probably the coolest experiences of this whole thing so far, is just getting to know the human beings that we're fortunate enough to employ and support and develop. And I mean, it's like being able to offer career to somebody. That's a pretty big deal. That's probably all you guys think about right now is what the hell am I going to do? And what's that career look like? So to be able to,
right there.
yeah, be able to give that to people is super cool. So the travel's cool. The industry's cool. Growing a business is cool. It's all awesome. But yeah, employing people is incredibly gratifying for me.
Do you find any weird, like managerial, not issues, but like, how do you find managing people that are older than you? Because I think when we all graduate, we'll probably all be managing people that are older than us, have more wisdom than us, and probably definitely also have more experience than us.
Just no more than us do.
Yeah, just generally, I guess, no more than us.
So I've really tried to figure this one out, because it's my original answer was, oh, it's just not really been a factor for me, but that's not very helpful at the same time, because I grew up around a lot of adults, important people. So I was raised to talk to adults and deal with people older than myself from the time I was a little kid. So there is a component of that. But a more helpful answer would be, I've spent a lot of time getting to know me as an individual. And this is where reflections come into play, travels come into play, therapies come into play. You want to be really secure about who the hell you are as an individual, because if you're insecure, you got to go prove yourself, and your ego's getting in the way left and right. And it just causes all kinds of problems. Like, you guys come out of school and you think you're the boss. You got to go prove yourself. You're going to go get your ass beat so fast. So just knowing who you are, what your limitations are, is incredibly valuable. The nice thing about our business is that I wasn't in a position where I was the best marketer, or as we get into software now, like the best developer. And I've been typing away on my computer, making code for months and months and months and building the product myself. I'm an idiot. I don't understand how to code or computers or even really marketing. And so I'm quick to defer to others. And so I'm here to offer what I have to offer. And I have a interesting perspective on the industry. I see where the industry is going. I see where we need to go as a business, and I try to guide it there. But then at the same time, it's, we just had this debate of whether we go get something off the shelf or build it ourselves. And I'm going to just listen to the people that are experts within our business and defer to their opinions. So if you guys are managing a crew out in the field and there's a foreman that's been doing it for 30 years and he's saying, we're going to do it this way, and this is why, I would probably say, sign me up. Let's do it. I'm here to help you however I can. So it's just knowing that, for me, it's knowing that I'm a complete idiot that knows nothing. That's very, very valuable. It's knowing what I have to offer everybody at the business. And it's just knowing when to push and when to just say, yep, you're right. Let's do it that way.
I think a lot of people who have been in the business too for a long time, foremen, stuff like that, who have a lot of experience, I think they recognize that too. And I think that honestly, they give you a little bit more respect when you do that too, because I know from at least being an intern, I've, come across different situations, and I refer to other people who have more experience than me. And you could tell that they respect that about me, that I'm not coming in acting like I know everything, you know what I mean? So I think that's like a big thing. If they give you more respect when you acknowledge that you're like that situation, I guess you could say.
Totally. Like, how do you get people to listen to you? You listen. Right. I mean, that's what I learned from Jocko is, you want to influence other people, you need to let them influence you. How do you let other people influence you? You go to the foreman and say, Jeff, how the hell do we do this? Because dude, I have never laid 108-inch RCP. I don't know what I'm doing. How do we do this? How do we break it down? What equipment do I need? What materials do I need to order? How can I help you make this thing happen? That's it. And especially like in your guys' position as a, say, like a field engineer, you don't build shit. Like you don't do anything. You're one line item on that bid list that says overhead. That's it. You're not actually building that job. Your job is to support those that build that job. And they couldn't build it without you. It's a very important function. But your job is to you just need to have that humility and say, I'm just here to support the guys that are actually doing this and make their lives as easy as possible so that we can do this within the given budget, within the given schedule, and make this a really successful project for everybody involved. And just having that level of understanding, you'll do really, really well.
Absolutely. And I feel like asking questions too is like, I don't want to say forgotten about, but personally for me, when I'm in the field, like if I'm ever like confused about anything like that, like I'll ask a question because we're there to learn.
Yeah. Well, and then
People are scared to talk.
I'm quick to admit when I'm wrong too.
Yeah,
I mean, even yesterday, someone called me out. They're like, I posted this video of a dozer and said it was a CAL FIRE machine. And they said, no, it's actually a LA Fire Department machine. And I looked and said, oh, yep, it's an LA Fire Department machine. Sorry, I screwed up. Like it's something as little as that. Or there was this big thing the other day and I completely shifted my perspective on something based on someone else saying, giving their opinion within the business. And I was quick to say, hey, you were right there. And I was wrong. And this is the best approach for us. So asking questions and then admitting when you're completely wrong, it goes a really long way.
100%. Like one of my supers put it to me on one of the jobs I've been on. It would take me 2 years to learn what you're going to know in college. For you to learn what we know, it's going to take you 10 years of work in the field.
Yeah.
So the only way to figure that out, get out there, ask questions, try to do as much as you can.
That's it. And even if you're, managing a project, I talked about this on the podcast the other day. Someone asked what makes a good PM. I think a good PM is out in the field pretty consistently and out there with the guys and maybe picks up a shovel every once in a while.
That would be an incredible sight.
That would be an incredible sight, right? There's a guy, he runs a company called Sargent Corporation, Herb Sargent, and you'll go out to a site with him. He'll be the first one to put gloves on and try to help. I mean, is he all that helpful? No, he's not all that helpful. The guy runs the company and he knows that, but he also is trying to do his best to help people out wherever he can when he's on site. And just that little effort of putting gloves on and helping put a chain around a pipe, even if it's just one stick, what does that say to that whole team on that site? That says a lot. And it serves Herb. It keeps him grounded to the work because he knows that he's just that overhead line item too. And that without all those people, without the laborers, operators, foremen, without the people doing the work, he'd be nothing.
I definitely have to 100% agree with the best PM is a PM that's frequently out on the site. I've been in situations where the PM is never there and is only there probably about 20 minutes before the weekly client meeting. Meanwhile, the client has no idea that he hasn't been there all week and any questions you're asking has no clue. So definitely the best PM I would say is frequently out on the site being involved, maybe not even necessarily with the work, but seeing what's happening on a daily basis.
That's it. Well, and I don't blame them. They get so bogged down with all the nonsense of managing a job and all the paperwork and government meetings and regulatory and pay apps. And it is crazy what they have to deal with. But they have to be smart enough to delegate. One, I see there's so many PMs, they just get stuck in a job trailer for 80 hours a week because they don't delegate anything and they want to do it all themselves. So they kind of screw themselves from day one. And then two, they need to make a very intentional effort to, even if I'm really busy, even if there's a lot going on, getting out into the field at least once a day for even if it's 15 minutes is part of my job. Like that's an essential task that I need to do, or else you're so far removed from what's actually going on that how can you actually manage a job effectively if you don't know what's going on out in the field? You become too removed. But it's just not viewed as an essential task a lot of times, which is a bummer.
It's all about the balance, right? Build balance.
That's it.
So I know we're a little pressed on time here. So I guess one of the last things we can kind of touch on I don't know if any of you guys have anything else, but on the topic of Con Expo, Nick and I were there our freshman year back in 2020, right before the world shut down. We hope to be there again in 2023. I think we will be there one way or another. Our school was able to get us in, but will you have a booth there? And kind of what kind of setup are you looking to do for that?
We're working on it, and we're trying to get as big of a setup as we can get. So nothing's in writing yet, so I can't say anything for certain, but we'll have some kind of presence there. And it's not gonna be like a Buildwitt booth and hey, we're great and here's all our services and check out our software. It's gonna be about let's just celebrate the industry. And it's that, I pitched it to Con Expo as kind of that central meeting point for the show. And what's the real value in the show? At least for me, it's been talking with the other people at the show. And there's no real community gathering place to do that all that effectively. It's all just about the equipment. And yeah, sure, the equipment's cool, but talking with people in the industry, that's the real value of that show. So hopefully it's a place at the show where people can come together, talk, have fun, get to know people in the industry, and maybe even inspire the next generation, the kids that come to the show, you guys. There's a lot of opportunity there. So we're trying to work on it. I have my opinions on these manufacturers. It's about them. It's not necessarily about, they're a little tone deaf. The manufacturers are, because the biggest problem their customers have right now is workforce development. Go to Con Expo, see how much of that show's dedicated workforce development. Last time I saw this tent kind of stuffed in the back corner that had workforce development stuff that no one was at, but they had workforce. It's just like they're just a little disconnected from the reality of the industry. And I even we were talking about some executive of a OEM the other day, and they had not traveled. They haven't traveled since COVID. That's insane to me, because the industry hasn't stopped at all since COVID. They haven't had one day off. And so you haven't gotten out at all and seen your customers and seen the world and what's going on. It's a little disconnected. And I'm trying to change that just a little bit. So we'll see.
Yeah, at the last Con Expo, there definitely wasn't really any, of course, the AGC convention was there at the same time, but there wasn't really anything specifically at Con Expo for networking, especially like we've been talking about this whole time with young people trying to enter the industry. So that would definitely be something that I would have to check out if there is an opportunity for some kind of networking or just meet up or something along those lines.
Sure.
So before we sign off, Aaron, do you have anything that you want to plug, you want our listeners to look at for you guys?
Any questions for us?
No, I mean, if there's anything we can do for you guys, let me know.
I got one last question.
Yeah.
How's it feel to finally roll the first piece of equipment?
It's a good
You've probably
feeling.
gotten asked this a lot by now.
Yeah, it's a good lesson learned. So it was a valuable lesson. And actually, right when I hang up with you guys, I'm going to pick it up. Shoes and all that.
Nice.
Yeah, I was an operator for a year and a half in a union, so they would always say, like, you're not a real operator until you roll your first piece of equipment.
And that's the funny thing is,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people saying, yeah, you should get fired or whatever it is.
No,
It's like,
no.
one, it's my machine
Habits.
on the weekends, so screw you. I can roll whatever I want to roll on the weekends on my time. And two, that's such a flawed way of thinking. It's okay, someone just rolled a machine. I don't know about anybody else's rolled machine, but I felt like a total asshole when I rolled the machine. So I don't need to be yelled at and scolded and told I screwed up. Like, I get it. I screwed up. Here's what I learned. So if I'm told I'm screwed up, yelled at, and then fired, I just learned a really valuable mistake. The company has to go pay the repair bill anyway. And then I'm going to work for your competitor now. What?
No, it's a
What?
lose.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that make any sense at all? So I just tried to use it. I don't work at a company that actually does dirt work.
Yeah.
I'm in a unique position. So I tried to share it the way I could to try to get value out of it and start a conversation around it in the industry. And it certainly worked. I mean, it reached hundreds of thousands of people, and I have hundreds of pictures of rolled machines in my inbox.
Yeah. Like they say, you're not a real operator until you roll a machine.
A lot of people were like, wow, we're actually impressed you got it squarely on the roof, because that's quite difficult to do. I'm like, I don't know how I did it.
How did you do it?
I was backing down a slope with my bucket, raised a little too high with dirt in it, hit a little soft spot, and then just gently rolled it right
Roll
over.
back, yeah.
Yep. And
Climbing
with
piles, I had a couple close calls like that, but I never ever rolled anything.
yeah. And after a $10,000 insurance claim, we're back in business.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
So what actually broke, and how long did it stay running after you took the key out?
Nothing. So I took the key out and I thought it was still running, but it was just the cool down cycle to try to, it was something with, I'm going to go to CAT and actually talk to them about what happened so I can better explain it. But it was something with the oil on the hot turbo and going through the DPF. That was that blue smoke. So there was no oil left in the machine because it all just evaporated with the hot turbo. But the engine was good to go. Turbo was good to go. They cleaned the DPF. So they broke it all down, put it back together, put it in the dyno. It's good to go. And it only had 17 hours on it. So it's basically a brand new machine.
There we go, slightly used. What are your, I guess quickly, what are your thoughts on deleting trucks and equipment?
I wish
Controversial topic.
I wish you could delete more equipment. And I was just talking to a guy the other day. He's deleted his excavators and it's awesome. You can't tell. You really can't tell. You keep everything on there, so you can't tell it's deleted or not. Only a trained professional will be able to tell. And then you don't have all the nonsense of all the emission stuff. Like I would do it all day long. If I had DEF to worry about my skid steer, I'd be thinking about it, but I have no DEF or anything. So it's a little bit simpler.
Yeah, it's definitely pros and cons to each. I know we want to save the environment, but at the same time, it makes me wonder when people are, you go to the gas station, you see the big boxes of plastic containers of blue DEF.
Yeah, I have one in my truck right now. It's honestly, it's to me, it's some lobbyist group made that into effect, put it into law. Look at how much money the OEMs are making off of that, all that stuff. So it doesn't take a genius to say, well, no kidding, they made it into law. They're making so much money on that stuff. Like, of course it's, and then it's sold under environmental responsibility, and it's sold under, well, the government's making us do, like, yeah, right. I just don't buy that at all. There's just too much money there. But it's just a reality of the industry. And so if I'm going to go delete a machine, then void my warranty on my new $500,000 bulldozer, I'm probably not going to do that. I don't think deleting equipment is all that smart unless it's just your machine. If it was my machine on the farm, I would delete that thing so fast. But if you're an actual operator and you're actually running a managing a fleet and buying a lot of equipment, there's no way around it now. It's just reality.
Well, you see all these old pieces of equipment still running. And I don't want to say outrunning this new equipment, but it's still like 40, 50 years old. Like all those scrapers that you posted, was that in Colorado?
Yeah, some of them have
Those were all like 80s,
90,000
right?
frame hours.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's just, but if you've ever seen a repower or ever looked at an engine out of a machine nowadays, you can see the yellow engine if it's a Caterpillar, and then all the nonsense on top of it. That's the DPF and the good
Sensors.
grief, and all the wires. And you look at it, you're like, that is the stupidest looking thing in the world. Like you really just screwed up something that was so simple, so perfect. But again, it's just the reality, the world we live in now. So we can complain about it all day long, but it's not going anywhere.
So we want to thank Aaron Witt very very much for coming on our podcast today, having I feel like a great discussion. Be sure to check out Aaron Witt, Dirt Talk by Buildwitt. Anything else you want them to take a look at?
That's it. We started posting on TikTok a few weeks ago, and it's just been
Ooh.
crazy.
Really?
Check out the Buildwitt TikTok as well then.
Yeah, I'm up. I think this week like 30,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
You're an influencer now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a TikToker. What can I say?
Construction.
I got one of your wallpapers on my phone right here.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you all very much, and we will see you next time on the CM Club podcast.